Alright guys, it's Tuesday, January 5th. I think that's what it is. It's been a long day. It's Tuesday, but this is not Quick Tip Tuesdays. As you guys know, I've switched up the schedule, switched up the release format as far as the videos are concerned. And there's no more Quick Tip Tuesdays, no more Fun Fact Fridays. We're just doing free apps on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. But today, because of this live format, I'm able to just jump on and do a video, which is why I switched up the format, and this is why I'm here. So today it's gonna be a tip, even though it's on a Tuesday, it just happened to be on a Tuesday. But it's not gonna be that quick. I don't think it's gonna be that quick. It's one of those subjects that everybody likes to talk about. File paths. It's amazing. It's exciting stuff. So specifically, I'm going to be talking about dealing with like an idea or a thought, or like my concept of how you should try to organize your VSTs as far as where you're installing them to have your DAW find them and not have them all over the place. So let me just start by saying, if you're not savvy with the computer as far as just basic file navigating and knowing where your folders and your hard drives are, this video, I'm not going to go into the details of that. But so you got to be somewhat familiar with, you know, the C drive and program files, 64-bit versus 32-bit Windows, and the program file x86, because a lot of this stuff is going to go way over your head if you don't understand that. But let's jump right into it. So by default, the way I do it is we have our program files folder right here. Let's make this bigger. Maybe too big. That'll work. But anyway, you have your program files folder right here. And if you notice, there's two of them. One says program files. The other one says program files x86, right? Let's get this over there so you guys can see it. Alright, so here we're looking at it. We got the program file folder, and we have another one that says program files x86. So the x86 folder is the one that will technically receive all your 32-bit plugins. 64-bit plugins will be in the program files folder. So I don't know why they did it like this. I mean, I understand why the naming is like this, but it'll be a little bit easier if this said program files 64-bit or 64 and this said 32 or 32-bit. But it doesn't. Just remember that the program files x86 folder is the older Windows file system, which was an x86 file system. So all your 32-bit files will go in here, all your 32-bit programs. So if you install a DAW, if you install a plugin and it's 32-bit, by default it's going to want to go here. More on that in a minute. It doesn't have to go there. But anyway, so what happens is in these folders you have a VST folder. Usually by the time you install your first VST or your first DAW on your system, your fresh system with nothing on it, no DAWs, no plugins, it's gonna be, I think one of the programs will create a folder in here called VST plugins. If you can see it right down there. Let's make it bigger. VST. Right here. So you can put your 32-bit plugins in there, but I found that you don't have to put them there. So let's go back. Over here, we're going to go into our 64-bit program files folder. So in here, you also have a VST plugin folder. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? It's right here. So now we're in the program files folder and not the program files x86 folder. So in this folder is where all the 64-bit plugins would go. Now, I try to make sure that all my plugins that are 64-bit VST 1 or 2, 32-bit VST 1 or 2, I make sure that they all install in here. So if it's a plugin pack or a plugin installer, I should say, that has the exe where it runs it, and then you got to click next, I pay attention to that next screen that tells me where it's going to put my actual DLL files, which is the plugin, the actual plugin file that your DAW is going to be reading. It's going to be a .dll files, as you can see. So I make sure that anything that's 64-bit or 32-bit VST 1 or 2 goes in this folder. I do not put anything in my 32-bit program files VST folder. You just keep them all here just to keep it organized. Now, a lot of times what most programs will do, depending on what products you have, I have Cakewalk installed on here. So by default, Cakewalk, let me go back, program files. If you go into my Cakewalk folder, where is it? Cakewalk. There's also a VST plugin folder in here. And what happens sometimes is when you're installing with one of those exe installers, you're installing a plugin, sometimes it defaults to this folder. So I always check to make sure that it's not going in here, because I don't want my plugins all over the place for later on when it comes time for me to have my DAWs, my different DAWs that I use to scan for my latest plugins or all my plugins when you just install the DAW. So another spot that it might end up going, let me see if I have it, Steinberg. If you have any Steinberg products installed, you might end up with a Steinberg folder, and in that a VST folder where VSTs will also sometimes try to default and install there. So whenever I'm gonna run the exe for a VST plugin, I will always make sure that it's not defaulting to my Steinberg VST folder or my Cakewalk VST folder. There might be other DAWs or other applications that do that, but those are the two that most times I will have those folders on my systems, whether it's my laptop or my desktop's behind me, and I have that issue. So I always make sure that all my VST1, VST2, 64-bit and 32-bit DLL files for my plugins are all going to my program files VST folder. Not the C drive VST folder. I don't even know how this got here, but something put it there. Always this one. You don't have to do it this way, but this is the way I do it. And the reason why I do it that way is to keep all of them in pretty much a central location for when I have to do plugin scans. The next thing is, now we have VST3. VST3 is different. It has a different extension, so it's not a .dll. I think it's, well, we'll see in a minute. I don't even have to try and guess it. So in your C drive, you go to plugins. Sorry, you go to program files. Program files. And there is a folder called common files. And in there, you'll see VST2 and VST3. But we're just focusing on VST3. So I put all my VST3s here. Most times, VST3s are 64-bit. Well, put it this way. I don't install 32-bit if I have a 64-bit option. If I have a VST3 option, I'm only going VST3. Why 64-bit options are gonna be able to access more than 4 gigs of RAM? Anything that's 32-bit can only access 4 gigs of RAM on your system. And the VST3 is the latest version. And VST, research it, VST 3.0, VST3 is the latest technology, and it has a lot more advances and just better performance with your DAW. So if you're installing a plugin and the plugin has different versions, VST2, VST3, I would advise you to just go with the VST3 version only and not have all these different versions. Because if you're running a project on one computer and you installed like the VST2 version and then you try to run it on another computer and you don't have the VST2 version, you may have a problem loading that plugin. So just to keep things organized and kind of focused and cohesive from one system to another, if you have multiple systems, I have multiple systems that I'm working on. This is my laptop system right here. I have a desktop behind me. This is something else. But you don't want to run into those issues. So just to keep everything cohesive and organized, try to just work with VST3s if you can. And if not, well, VST3 64-bit if the option is there. And don't install the other stuff because it's just redundant and it causes more of a mess, causes more confusion if you don't understand what's going on. Because now you're going to be like, why do I see 3 versions of this one plugin when I do a search in my DAW? And then if you don't have the VST3 but you have 64-bit, go with 64-bit and you're going to put it in that program files VST folder. And quick tip, you can also put your 32-bit plugins in this folder. You can put it in the 64-bit folder. It doesn't matter. I do it all the time. The plugins still show up. They work as long as your program supports 64-bit plugins. So now when you go to your DAW and you have to do a plugin scan, you can just point them to those folders and you just have 2 folders to worry about. For Pro Tools users, it's a whole nother ball game. They have a whole nother thing going on. I don't use Pro Tools, so I'm not even going to go into it. But it's different for you guys where your plugins go, but there is a set location also. I think it's also in the common files folder. So for the Pro Tools users, look into that. But you don't have to do this, but I'm just telling you my tip, my idea, and just how I keep things organized. I'm a huge stickler when it comes to workflow, just like the best workflow, and also management, file management, organization. So that's pretty much it for this video, guys. It was a tip. I don't think it was that quick, and it was on a Tuesday, which wasn't my intention. But remember, the new schedule, the new release schedule for content is Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, and it is only free apps, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I'll be doing other videos in between. I have some series that I'm working on, so stay tuned for that. And that's pretty much it, guys. So thanks for watching, and as always, you will see me in the next video.